This video will teach you to administer the Path to Reading program. But first, a story. There once was an explorer who longed for reading and learning to be easier, but would rather be fishing. A wise wind whispered across the waves, "The secret is to catch enchanted fish." Don't attempt to catch these special fish. You must follow them with your eyes alone to see if their stripes swim left or swim right. Keep watching their stripes move as they get harder and harder to see until they've disappeared and you only see empty water. Only then will you find they've magically landed in your fishing net. The more fish in your net, the more points you'll receive. The more points you receive, the more your brain is learning.
The reason we are using the fish story is so that students can understand why they want to see the stripes when they're very dim and why they want to see what direction the stripes are going. We need them to be able to see the direction of motion because that is the type of movement our brain is most sensitive to. You push the right arrow key when the stripes move to the right, and the left arrow key when the stripes move to the left. The student must keep going until the stripes in the middle of the fish can no longer be seen.
You may be wondering why you're doing this and why the program looks so plain.
The path training is done with patterns that are intentionally gray and dim and might seem boring, but those are the type of patterns that activate the motion cells. The Ware pathway motion cells are called magnocells, and they are 1/10 of a second too slow in many people. This 1/10 of a second delay causes a lot of problems. It makes reading very difficult, makes it very difficult to pay attention, to remember what you just read. The path training program enables the motion cells to be more sensitive and respond more quickly. If the training were done with high contrast patterns or colored patterns, we would be activating a completely different pathway and we wouldn't be able to improve the timing in the brain.
While it's not colorful like many computer programs, Path to Reading is truly groundbreaking technology. It's the only research-based patented program aimed at working the magno-parvo cellular pathways of the brain, which are critical for making the where and what pathways work together. In order to focus in on these pathways alone, it's important to continually fade the stripes your student can see.
To ensure that the student is motivated to see the stripes really dimly, at the end of each pattern, if they see it below 1% contrast, then they get another fish in the fish net. 1% contrast means that you can hardly see that the stripes are there.
Our brains have parallel pathways that are trying to interpret information and sequential processing, which is essential for reading letters in the right order. But when there's a delay, it causes tremendous problems. And the longer that timing delay has been present, the longer it will be before the higher level functions of the brain can advance.
The foundational part of the brain that Path to Reading works improves sensitivity and speed of motion cells in the striate cortex, the medial temporal cortex, and higher levels in the brain like the posterior parietal cortex and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is known for analyzing working memory.
Evidence unequivocally shows there's a 1/10 of a second delay in the magnocells of dyslexics and others with reading difficulties. You're about to use a tool that can make a positive difference in this delay.
Well, we see great improvements in people who are slow readers, who have dyslexia, autism, attention deficits, schizophrenia, speech and language problems, central auditory processing issues, with traumatic brain injuries, and older adults. There's a wealth of research to indicate that many of these disorders are caused by timing deficits in the brain.
Let's go over how to administer the Path to Reading program. Make sure there's no glare on the computer screen and sit about an arm's length away. Launch the motion program.
Open the Google Chrome browser and type in app.pathtoreading.com. After connecting to the app.pathtoreading.com website, you must log into the Path Neurotraining program by using your email address, and password. Once you log in, you will see your dashboard. There are two path programs, motion and motion memory. Only start motion memory after you have completed all 24 complexity levels of motion. Your current complexity level is listed below each program. You click on Performance after the first two sessions to see how you're doing on each of the 4 test patterns. The lower the test frequency, the wider are the fish stripes. The black line at the top is the best contrast sensitivity we can measure. The red line is where you begin, and the green line is where you are now. The higher your contrast sensitivity, the better you are able to discriminate left-right movement. Below the two programs are the number of sessions you have purchased, how many you have used, and how many sessions are left. Now we are ready to begin, so we push the Start Resume button.
As you push the left or right arrow, you'll see the first striped fish pattern in the center of the screen, surrounded by different background stripes. The fish stripes will move to the left or right. When the fish stripes swim to the right, have the student push the right arrow key. When the stripes swim to the left, the student should push the left arrow key. It's important to have the student wait until the pattern goes off the screen before pushing an arrow key. Otherwise, the PATH program won't be able to register the answer. Each time the student gets it right, you'll see the pattern get dimmer, making it harder to see the motion. Eventually, the fish stripes will be gone, and the student will get it wrong. If the student gets it wrong, the computer will beep, and the pattern will be darker, so it's easier to see. If the student gets it wrong 3 times in a row, the computer will say, "Let's try that again." Be encouraging so they don't get upset when this happens.
Kelly, good focus.
It's just how the software needs to work. There are 10 different patterns in each session. The patterns change by having the background patterns go from wide stripes to thin stripes for 2 different width of fish stripes. At the end of each pattern, a score will appear, and the program will tell you how many patterns are remaining. If they saw the direction the fish stripes moved until they were gone, they'll see another fish in the fishing net. When you're done after 20 patterns, you'll also see 1 star for each level of complexity that was completed.
The graphs from the 2 test frequencies in the current session are now displayed. You click on cross in the upper right corner of the graph to close the graph. Then the dashboard reappears. You click Start Resume to continue the PATH neurotraining.
A session only takes 3 to 10 minutes. Do 2 sessions 2 to 3 times a week until all
24
levels of complexity have been completed. Once done, move on to the motion memory program, beginning with viewing the motion memory video. Together, both programs typically take 3 to 6 months. If you explain to the student how and why this program impacts the brain, you'll find they're quite interested and much more motivated. Watch the student to be sure they're not looking at their finger. Be sure their eyes are on the screen. If they are, you should see the fish pattern reflected in their eyes. You should be able to see whether or not a student is following the motion of the stripes until they're gone. If they don't see the movement correctly on any of the first 10 trials, hit the X key to restart the current pattern. In the beginning, you may have to do this a few times until the direction of movement is seen below 1% contrast. Softly saying "good" as they follow the stripes down to 1% contrast is the best way to help them. Some students want to talk.
So for breakfast, I had oatmeal.
This is a distraction or avoidance technique. Remind them to focus on the program instead. If they quit paying attention for a moment, you may have to push the space bar. This causes the pattern to repeat. For younger students who may not know the terms left and right, you may need to use your finger to say this way or that way. Each time the complexity level increases, it'll be a bit more difficult. Be encouraging to the student, letting them know they can handle the changes. Have the student read 15 to 30 minutes immediately following the PATH program. This practice imprints the neural training the student just received. Current evidence suggests reading rates will increase approximately 6 words per minute for each training session.
Pressing the C key to change the complexity level is not recommended unless complexity increased too quickly or you finished all 24 complexity levels and want to restart motion or motion memory at a lower complexity level. The complexity level increases automatically after every 2 sessions.
You as the therapist must be able to see the direction the stripes are moving. If you have this problem yourself, then you need to go through the program before you administer it to somebody else. We're improving the foundational processes in the brain, the motion cells, at the lowest level. So your investment in other therapies will be much more successful if you begin your therapy with the Path to Reading training.
Some students will see improvement immediately, and most will by the 12th session. Studies with the PATH program have shown gains from 1 to 7 grade levels in reading. It also improves figure ground discrimination, saccadic movement, writing, attention, memory, multitasking, and overall cognitive skills. If you have further questions, be sure to read all of the companion PDF files, and you can always contact us at Perception Dynamics Institute.